welcome to the stage, Dan Wilbur! Kevin, everybody. Happy to be part of his nightmare. It's good to be here. I was having lunch with a friend the other day, and we were talking about sex. And, yeah. And I mentioned to him that I had sex for the first time at age 13. And he flipped out. He was like, that's way too young. Way too young. And I was like, well, how old do you have to be? And he goes, I don't know, but you at least have to be emotionally mature first. And I was like, great. So you and me should just be virgins now. Emotionally mature. I guess I'm going to wait until I'm 45, settle down, have a few kids, then start thinking about sex. But looking back at my first sexual relationship, my first serious girlfriend, sex was like the least of my worries. It was the least problematic thing about the relationship. It was the thing that I was the most prepared to do. Everything else was awful. So I'm going to set the scene for you. It's February of 2000 in Fairview Park, Ohio, a suburb of Cleveland. And I remember it was February because the Johnston's house down the street had all these little plastic hearts stuck into their grass, like a bunch of them. And they just over-decorated for every non-holiday. Like they belonged to whatever religion Walgreens belongs to. It was really weird. They were weird people. And we're standing in front of those hearts, and my girlfriend says to me, my cancer's back. And she sort of grazes her neck where this scar is that she always references when she talks about this subject. And I say, how long have you known? And she says, a couple months. And I immediately get angry. I'm like, gosh, you should have told me first. Like, I want to know this stuff. I want to be in this with you. And I say, what kind of cancer is it? And she says, it's the same one that Susan Sarandon has in the movie Stepmom. And I say, I've never seen Stepmom. And then she says, didn't we watch it together? And I'm like, I think I'd remember if I saw a movie that featured your cancer. And now we're arguing about the movie Stepmom, which I still have never seen. And like this most important time in our relationship. And she touches her neck again and she says, I have a 50-50 chance of making it. And there's no polite way to say this. Having a girlfriend with cancer in high school is awesome. You know, like you go to parties and stuff and you're upbeat. They're like, oh my God, look at Dan taking it in stride. You know, his girlfriend's dying. It's like, it's cool. And then every time you're brooding at a party, they're like, well, can you blame him? I mean, he's in a black mood again, you know, his girlfriend's dying. It's good because when you're in the suburbs and you're young, all you want is like a little unearned drama, you know, that's not something that's not yours, but like you can just hold on to and be like, look, I struggle also. That's all you want. And I had this fantasy, you know, that it would be like a walk to remember. We'd get married at 15 and then she'd die, and the rest of my life I wouldn't be able to like open up emotionally to any other woman. I'd be like, you know, my first wife died when I was 15, so I don't know, it's not gonna work out for us. And while I'm having these martyrdom fantasies, she's like getting thinner and her hair seems to be thinning out, and it's getting really serious. And one day she comes back from a summer vacation in Canada. She goes to Canada every year with her family, and she comes back and she's crying when we first meet each other. And I'm very worried. I'm like, this is it. I'm gonna hear the words I don't wanna hear, and I'm just gonna go, and very sad. And she says, when I was in Canada, I did the worst thing. And I was like, you killed someone in Canada? She goes, no, I slept with someone else. Which was really aggravating, because like Canada's where you make up the fake boyfriends and girlfriends, you know? That's, you're like, oh yeah, I've had sex before with my girlfriend from Canada. But this was a real Canadian man who put his real penis inside her, and And I remember she gave me this little rubber ball with a maple leaf on it, and I was staring at it. And she was like, well, say something, you know? And I got really mad, and I threw the ball in the woods, and I was like, oh, fuck you, and just got really pissed at her. And I tried to muster up as much anger as I could, but the truth is, like, I had already forgiven her, you know? Because if I were dying, I too would not want to be constrained by monogamy as a teen, you know? I'd want to be out there playing the fields. So now I'm in an open relationship with a dying woman before I'm old enough to drive a car. That's where I found myself. And a few months into that, she just starts full on dating other men. You know, I run into people, they're like, why are you getting up on my girl, dude? And I'm like, I've been dating her for years. What are you talking about? And so I finally decided to break it off because I'm like, you know, cheat on me physically, fine, but emotionally, come on. And I wait, of course, for her to come back from Canada again the next year, you know, because I want to keep it going for a little bit. And I muster up all my jealous rage, and I say, we're done. Can't take it anymore. And she has this big melodramatic moment where she says, you forgive, but you never forget, which I thought was really, I didn't like that. I break up with her, and a year goes by, and my friend comes to talk to me before school. We're walking to school. She's a senior, I'm a junior at this point. And he says, I just need you to know your ex, she just got taken out of school for a couple weeks to go to treatment. And I start sobbing. I'm like, this is it. Oh my God, her family's gonna call me and be like, you broke our daughter's heart. And then she fucking died right after, and just weeping. And he goes, no, Dan, you understand, she's not in treatment for cancer. She's in treatment for an eating disorder. Because it turns out she never had cancer. She was just using it as a cover to drop a bunch of weight. Huh. Ah. Well, there certainly is egg on my face. This is upsetting. And things started to make sense, you know? Like, I told my parents knew about it, my friends knew about it, but every time I was over at her house, they would say things at dinner, you know, they'd be like, we just want to see her get healthy. And I'm like, me too. And they'd be like, yeah, we want to see her eating fruit and exercising. And I'd be like, you know, homeopathic route, that's fine, but sure. I'd go to chemo, but yeah. And we just never said the C word, you know? And even when I confronted her, I was so full of rage, I never wanted to see her again, but I did bump into her once. And the only time that I did talk to her, I still couldn't say the word. I was so aggravated. I said, how long when we were together were you sick? And she said, the whole time, which was true in a way, but she knew what I meant. And another year goes by, she's at college, and I'm just so full of rage, I don't know what to do. I'm at a Jesuit high school, so I go to my cool priest, you know, the one that's like 20 years younger than the other priests. And I tell him the whole situation, and he just goes, I do not have the capacity to deal with this. You're gonna go see this theology teacher who's been married a couple times, and priests can't even have sex. I don't know why you came to me. And I go to this theology teacher, and it's such a godsend. It was so sweet. He had me start writing letters to God. Just start, Dear God, every morning. And of course, it's like, Dear God, why do women lie? And eventually I start crossing off the Dear God on the top, and I just start writing little memoirs. And I start writing about this girl mostly, and one of my stories I write, and my friends love it. I'm in my first creative writing class, and it really just sparks my creativity. I'm just writing all the time. And I write one about her, and my friends love it. They're like, this is great. This is just so good. I can see how bitter and angry you are on the paper here. And I go, you know who would love to see it? The woman who inspired it. So I sent a one-word email with an attachment of the story. It just said, enjoy. And I emailed it. And 45 minutes later, I get a call on my landline. My landline, thank God my parents weren't home. This is like, I sent the email, landline, pick it up. It's the girl's sister. She's screaming. She's like, how dare you send that to my sister? How dare you? How dare you send her a story that says that she ruined your life? And I was like, I didn't say she ruined it on purpose. I just said she sort of ruined it, you know? And never call us again, never talk to us again. And I'm very scared. I'm worried. It was all full, I mean, the story was full of like hyperbolic bullshit, you know? It was like, at one point I compare myself to a soldier coming back from war with shrapnel inside that no doctor could remove. I mean, it's just permanent. That's the kind of, you know, your normal first writing experience. And I'm thinking about it, and I'm very scared. I'm in class. I'm like, I'm gonna get pulled out of, you know, they're gonna find, everyone knows I've done something wrong. And I get pulled out by my guidance counselor from physics class. And it's the first time in the history of my school anyone's like begged to take a physics test, you know? Just getting dragged by the counselor, like, come on, I gotta take it now. Come on, please, don't make me go out here. And we walk outside, and my guidance counselor asks me a few questions, and then she reveals to me that my story triggered this girl's eating disorder, and she had to come back from school for a semester to recover. And I found that really gratifying, you know? Because like she could lie so well and invent a story so awful that I could internalize it and write about it myself and fill it with embellishments and stuff and then send it back to her, and it would make her actually physically ill. And when I look back, you know, in retrospect, I feel like she was just trying to break up with me, like at the beginning, you know? And the lie just got too deep for her to handle. You know, she's like, nothing, I'll get rid of this dude. But I was just so focused on being like the good guy that saves her that I got caught up in this mess. And, you know, another takeaway is that if you're looking for drama, you will find it. And it will not be what you expect. And finally, you know, if it is true that I'm still proud of this story, and I'm happy that the entire episode made me a better writer and not necessarily a better person, then I truly am petty, and my friend at lunch was right. I'm not emotionally ready for anything. Thanks, guys. I'm Dan. Bye.